I've been focused on the wins though. Walkie-talkie well connected tenfold. Got these niggas fishing like they Jimbo. Show up in the trench coat. Got it out the trenches. If you started, I'ma finish it. 5-star place side, this so separately. Get straight to the.
What up, Dave?
Hey, what's up, Tony? We are live here on the TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs, here with Tony, who's in a bit of mourning today for his hapless Dallas Cowboys. The funny thing is about Dallas, before we get to the show, the word hapless means you have no haps. So Dallas right now has no haps. You know, it's and much to the much to the glee of Washington fans here in town, celebrating that amazing victory, miracle victory over the Chicago Bears here at Northwest Financial Stadium. Since we can't call it FedEx anymore, the naming rights have changed over. Now it's Northwest Financial. So welcome to the show, my co-host Tony Kennedy. We have a lot to talk about tonight, but we are going to keep the show, kind of tight tonight. Tony, you've got on Colorado gear today. You just got back from Boulder. So you were there, for the big win this weekend that got Colorado Bowl eligible. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There's a lot of people in sports media today that need a nice, healthy serving on their plate. Let me get the plate out. Someone needs some crow on their plate. Paul Feinbaum, put the crow right here. Serve yourself up some. Who else wants some?
And show their wallet, Dave, because remember the over-under was 5.5
Right.
games. And a lot of people took that under because they thought Colorado was going to be whatever. It was 5.5 wins and over-under. And what did I tell you last year? I said, Dave, this year doesn't matter. I said they're going down to the Big 12 next year. This year is to build so you can get to the Big 12, which the Big 12 isn't a really good conference for defense and all that other stuff. So Dion was playing chess. Y'all were playing checkers. He knew that he going to get his head beat in last year with the worst roster in football. One of the worst rosters.
No,
and
it
then
was,
you playing
Tony, I got to disagree with you. They won a game, a stinking game. They went 1-11 2 years ago.
1-11.
1-11. Tony, you've been in this business from being a player to working with athletic directors like Craig Littlepage and people like that that knew what the hell they were doing, okay? If I get a football program and I go from 1 win to 4 wins to 6 wins and counting, am I doing the right thing as an athletic director?
You're doing the right thing. But what people didn't see, Dave, was their 1 win. They was in the Pac-12. So when Dion comes in and try to help a little bit, putting some talent here and there, they had a chance for 6 wins. They couldn't make it because they didn't have depth, because they couldn't flip the roster fast enough. And now that they're starting to flip the roster to your players, now we're seeing what they can do with their talent, not someone else's talent.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I had to jump in here. Flipping a roster in today's NCAA is a lot easier than it used to be 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. In those days, Tony, you remember because you played football then, what coaches used to do is they used to do something called run off a player. In other words, make it real hard for him to stay. Hey, you ain't going to get no run at practice. You're going to be on scout team every week. You're never going to get to dress out for games. That's a coach's cold way of saying, you don't have a place here. And then if you wanted to transfer, you had to give up a year of eligibility to be able to play somewhere else. There was no immediate eligibility. There was a very rare instance back in the old days, Tony, if you were going to school, if you were from the DC area, you went to school out on the West Coast, something like your mom or your dad had to die. And then you could petition the school and then, okay, we'll let you go play at Maryland because you're from the DC area. That's okay. But most of the time, the coaches were not going to release you. Sometimes you couldn't even go in the same league, the same conference.
They
so
couldn't release.
If you went to Maryland, they would say you can transfer anywhere in the country, but Virginia or Virginia Tech. You can't stay, in our region, in our recruiting footprint.
So Deion had a little advantage then.
Yes, he did.
Now versus what it used to be. And what people not looking at is that once and I was there for the weekend when they had all the big recruits in, and once he starts to flip the roster to his players, keeping his staff kind of intact, now you can start being plug and play. They're not at plug and play yet.
Not yet.
They still scrambling a little, and that's fine. But the people that you hear yapping are the people who've never been around college sports. They don't like Deion, basically because he's black and he's successful, because it's usually a bunch of the mayonnaise folks. It ain't us. The ones who were us who didn't like Deion were the ones who were doing some petty stuff, HBCU people. Well, let me tell you, HBCU people, so you can understand all that. I don't like Deion leaving HBC. Well, you should have paid his assistants. If you were his assistant making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and you couldn't get a job, and you see all these other assistants making $300,000 to $400,000 a year, you go to them and say, "Look, you got to pay my assistants." Y'all don't respond. What are you supposed to do? You on your job right now. You doing your job making $100,000, $85,000 a year, and you say, "Look, my cost of living is going up in this area. I can't stay at 85. I need some help." And the job just like, "Well, you got to find out, do it yourself." You're like, "Okay, well, do it myself. I'm going to go to where it's going to be better for me and my family." So for all the people who got in their little feelings, and that shows me right there, they had no clue. And it's a bunch of them, what I call the fake HBCU people talking about, "Well, he shouldn't do." You do that at your job right now. Ask each one of them, because each one of them ain't owning nothing. They working for somebody. Tell them to do that at their job right now. Go do it at your job right now. If you gonna make 8 to 10 times more, you gonna still stay? If they come and offer you right now, you making $80,000 a year. Somebody come and offers you $380,000 a year. What are you doing? You gonna stay at the 80,000? I tell you what, you ain't gonna be married no more, because your wife gonna divorce you.
Hey, Tony, let me ask you this: can Gary Harrell get this kind of money at an Ohio State, at a Florida State, at a Michigan? And the reason I use those schools, and the reason I use Florida State in here, is because they might need to be flipping their coaching staff. They might need to get some guys in there to help them. So can a guy that works for Deion get that kind of money elsewhere?
Yeah, they can get it elsewhere, because now we're talking about the same. We're talking about Colorado, UCLA, USC, Alabama. You're talking about you're right in the same ballpark. When you start talking about HBCUs way down here to coming up here now, I mean, come on, man, it makes no sense. And for people, see, I love my people, but my people sometimes are full of shit. When I tell you they full of shit, they're full of shit. Because somebody offering them money right now, they rolling out. And matter of fact, they always chasing money. But you get mad when you see someone else chase money that's more successful than you are. But you mad because it ain't fitting your liking. Sorry, Deion has never fit anyone's liking. He ain't fitting people's stuff. And the thing is, I'm a Hokie, but I'm supporting what he's doing, because what he's doing is going to lead to other players doing it. And when other players doing it, it ain't going to do nothing but help the kids. People not getting it. It's helping those kids. Him bringing all those coaches with him. Here's what's going to happen. When they start winning, those African-American coaches on his staffs are going to start getting other places, head coaches, coordinators, all the way around. Do y'all actually think that they're going to just bring you from HBCU to Virginia Tech to be a head coach. No, you're going to have to be a coordinator at one of these predominantly white schools first. Then you're going to be able to go to UVA, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Penn State. You can't go from the HBCU straight to those schools. Deion is actually giving them the opportunity to do this. But you guys ain't giving them credit because, like crabs in a barrel, you all sit here and want to fight. I don't hear that crap from those HBCU folks because they have no idea on the business of sports and college ball. Because if they did, they would have broke away from NCAA a long time ago. And they would have started their own. What I mean by starting their own, they would have started their own NIL through the black networks, and they would have been grabbing the players before it was legal. You saw this coming, Dave. When we talked in 2010, I said they're going to start playing. They should have broke away back then, started grabbing the talent, giving them NILs before they were flipping and jumping in what they're doing now. They would have had a jump on the system. But now they waiting and waiting. And what I am telling you, if they don't get in, they're going to be left out. They're not even going to be around because right now the recruits want to know how much time I'm getting, how big is my NIL, period.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Tony, let's also talk about the fact that you were there on ground zero. You were in Boulder this weekend for the game. Tell me about the atmosphere. Compare it to a UVA, a Virginia Tech, any of the big time programs where you physically have been there on the ground at field level. University of Miami back in the day.
First of all, the atmosphere is similar to what Miami was back in the day because they had so many people on the sideline, all the sidelines, all the way around. Well, on the Colorado side, it looked like Club Colorado. It was so many I'm older. All I know, what I recognized was Cameron. But it was so many because I heard, people say, check in. Did you know so-and-so was at the game? So I don't know all these rappers and all these people. But what you have to look at, that is big because you're recruiting, right? So if you're recruiting and the recruits see that, that's what they like. Folks, the old way, Dave 53, I'm 54. The old way of doing things, that day is over, man. That day gone. And it was great. Listen, man, grandma ain't in the kitchen with the flowery dress on, fixing dinner on Sundays. Grandma is tired at brunch, dropping it like it's hot, watching the football games. She ain't at home fixing no food for that Sunday no more. Them days are gone, dog. So guess what? I'm going to say, adapt or die. That environment was equal to the environment that I see at Virginia Tech on the days of the game.
Okay.
That was a hell of an environment. I mean, they run little Ralphie. Ralphie's a female. They run her out when the players come out. They run her out. And Boulder has always been like that. I see Coach Hyde on here from thing. Boulder has always been like that. Mm-hmm. And they just getting it back. So for people who just think Colorado was terrible, in our lifetime, they're one of 10 programs that has a national championship and a Heisman Trophy.
That's right. Rashawn Salam won the Heisman Trophy.
And they won the national in 1990.
And they won the national in 1990.
What's up, Dave Hackberg?
Yeah, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about. Let's talk about these Washington Commanders, Tony. It felt like old times, man. It really did. Washington fans were hyped up for this game because obviously Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick, was coming in.
Crabbo.
Washington is going to start Jaden Daniels, their number 2 pick. So you got the number 1 pick in the draft.
Crabbo.
Former Heisman winner from Bowie, coming to town against former Heisman winner, number 2 pick. So you can draw those storylines up. Now, Chicago is trying to get to where Washington is. Washington's 5-2. Chicago's kind of learning themselves a little bit. And you know what, Tony, they came in town a little chesty. They came in town a little, was talking a little smack out there. And it was kind of a struggle. Washington comes out with the Hail Maryland at the end to win that game and literally set the DC area on fire. That was like old times, man. That was amazing.
Jaden Daniels. You hear me? So we can go back to this talk. Jaden Daniels in 2 years will be the best quarterback in the NFL market. He will be the best. Now, what will stop him is something called coaching. If he loses Cliff Kingsbury and he doesn't get the right guy, quarterback coach, the right offensive coordinator, if he lose that, it will hurt his progress. See, what Peyton Manning had, what Drew Brees had, and all those had, they had the same person with them, Brady, over the years. Mm-hmm. Those people were the same people with them. And when you have the same people with, why Virginia Tech came up is because Virginia Tech kind of kept the core of the same staff with them. That's why they got to winning. When you can keep the same people with you, coaching-wise, Coach Hyder tell you that makes a difference. You know what that coach is thinking. You know how he's recruiting. You know his weaknesses. You know his strengths. When you guys are all lined together, that makes it easier. Now, what they don't need to do is get too high with Jaden Daniels and forget the little small stuff. Like I sent you a stat. He's quick on the first read, but he's not. He's reading the first read and he's throwing the ball. Okay, they're going to start looking and taking that away from you. Now you got to go second and third read. His numbers are way low. Now, see, those things are what they study. We are the first half of the season, folks. Right after Halloween is when the season starts. These people will start now looking at your tendencies. Remember, these guys, they do this coaching. They do this for a living. You know, we do this with the remote for a living. They watch film for a living, and they will get to understand his tendencies. What Cliff Kingsbury has to do is have to kind of keep everything fresh. What they need to do is hire a person like Bill Belichick and say, Coach, how are you guys going to come and defend us from here on out? Teams are going to look to do based upon the film I'm watching. See, I don't know how Bill Belichick doesn't have a job right now. I'm talking about just analyzing people like Robert Saleh.
As a consultant.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
You know, where you can analyze and you want people to come and look at you and say, a defensive guy come look at you and say, how are they going to come at us? Okay, so we need to be prepared, because if they come at us like this, we need to be able to do this, this, and this. Jaden Daniels is that guy. He is that guy. And I'm not giving Washington no credit for that. They lucked into that, because if they had the first pick, they probably would have taken Caleb Williams, who's still that guy too. But they wouldn't have had Jaden Daniels, who got an A in passing and an A in running. That doesn't happen that much, folks. So I'm saying in 2 years, he'll probably be the best quarterback in the league if all things he can keep the core of the staff together.
Let me amplify your point, Tony. The difference between Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams,
coaching,
the sentence is coaching. That's what I was going to say. I don't know if I sent you the text. I might have sent it out to another group chat. But watching Caleb Williams, the first half especially, and most of the third quarter, he was spraying the ball all over the field. He was not as accurate. He's not back in that pocket, Tony. He's not comfortable back there, okay? Jaden Daniels is comfortable, okay? He's fine. Now, Chicago's head coach, there have been whispers about there being problems with Chicago's coaching for many, many years, even when Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback, even before Fields got there. Now people are starting to peel back the onion after this game about how this team in Chicago is being coached, specifically end game situations, whether it be offense or defense. Let's talk about that defense. Let's talk about defending those last two plays. What did Chicago do wrong?
Wait a minute. Somebody said, "Gee, Washington should have run away with the game in the first half. Deficiency right now in the red zone." Yeah, you kind of right. So the question was about Washington's defense.
Chicago's defense on the last two plays.
Chicago's defense on the last two plays was horrendous. But the biggest thing that they don't talk about is trying to pull that refrigerated Perry stuff and give the ball to the lineman to fumble in the end zone. The fumble right there, the end zone. Chicago, first of all, I was sitting in a bar and I just came back from Colorado. And I'm sitting in there with Redskin fans. And when Chicago scored, everybody, it was a Cowboy fan here. I'm a Cowboy fan. He clapping. I said, "Dude, I don't know what you clapping for. It's 25 seconds. He said, "Man, he ain't going to do nothing." I said, "Man, you ever heard of something called a Hail Mary?" And the Washington fans was over there looking at me like, "Man, that's impossible." Boom, boom, boom. Because we had the Fridays right next to the stadium. So I said, "Look, man, I don't know what y'all thinking, but the Hail Mary is my favorite play. And that thing happens anytime, right?" And I'm just saying that. I ain't wishing it happened because I'm a Cowboy fan. Man, when that Hail Mary happened, all the Redskin fans ran over to me like, "Man, you called it." I said, "Because it's my favorite play in football. And I always try to get scenarios to get to the Hail Mary." The biggest play was, though, they gave up 10, 15 yards with 2 seconds before that. You don't play prevent defense on that. You want to get him, any quarterback, you want to get them within the 60 yards and out. See, they were at 70 yards.
Which they couldn't get.
15 yards. Oh, now they're in striking distance to just throw the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
And when that ball went up like a rocket, and it's funny because when we were at Colorado this weekend, we were talking about the biggest play in Colorado history was the Hail Mary against Michigan. And we were up in press row talking about it, and we were down talking about it. Because we were sitting under the thing for Westbrook, and they were talking about it. And it was just like, man, I'm talking about Hail Mary there. I get back, and we talking about a Hail Mary up in the place. I said, "Man, you got to be kidding me." And when that ball went up, I said, "Man, he going to catch this. They going to get this." And damn if it didn't tip right to
Noah Brown. I mean, when I saw that it wasn't knocked down, when I saw that the ball went up in the air, I said to myself, Washington's catching that. It just seemed like it hung in the air forever. Now, I don't believe in flaming somebody on social media, okay? So anyone that's watching the show tonight, I mean nothing derogatory or negative towards the Chicago player number 29. His name is Tyreek Stevenson. Guys, don't go on his social media and say anything negative, please. The poor man is he got enough problems as it is. I've never seen a play, Tony, and I was telling my partner Dave about it. We have never seen a situation where someone was jawing with the sideline or fans while a play was going on behind him. Never seen that. Now, that's a lack of professionalism that a professional coach has to address, okay?
So guess who his man was? Guess who
his man was? Noah.
His man was Noah Brown. He's supposed to box him out. Had he boxed him out, that ball would have bounced right to him.
He was not supposed to even go for the football.
No,
his job was supposed to be
boxing him out. Noah would have to come over top of him.
He was supposed to be deeper than whatever they say, Tony, deeper than the deepest. So wherever Noah Brown was standing, he was supposed to stand behind him and swap the ball away when Noah Brown got it, if it came to him. That was what his job was.
But the way they had them doing, because they knew how far he was supposed to, when they said he was supposed to box him out, he would have got around to box him out. So Noah would have had to come over top of him, because the way Chicago was doing it, they were boxing out. That's why the Redskin guys were on the backside of them, because they were boxing them out. And so with him on the backside of the first group, he's boxing out. So even the ball bounce here, he can come forward and grab, ball coming here, it comes right to him.
Mm-hmm. That's
now,
right.
That ball would have had to go all the way, way back. Had he been boxing out. Mm-hmm. And if they would have got it, then you know what? So be it. But for him to pull what he did, it was just a bad night. It was a bad scenario for Chicago. It was good for Washington.
It's great for Washington.
It's good for the area. I'm glad they're winning. They deserve it. They deserve the taste to not be looking at the draft when come Halloween. And it's Halloween time, and now they're counting games to say where they're going to get. So, it's good. It's great for their franchise. And the biggest thing that nobody's talking about, they should say thank you, Jerry Jones, for allowing them to get a coach off their staff to come here, bring 3-4 players, and to come here and bring an attitude that is going to eventually help them win. And he got a bonus. He got probably the best quarterback prospect in the last 20 years.
Drafting number 2 and drafting quarterback after someone else has drafted number 1 is usually a pretty scary spot to be in, because sometimes you get Peyton Manning at number 1. And then sometimes at number 2, you get Ryan Leaf. I mean, no disrespect to Ryan Leaf, but it just, historically, that's just kind of what happened. Jayden Daniels, and just to show you how crazy things are, Tony, 2 years ago, Jayden Daniels' locker was vacated at Arizona State. He was leaving, he was transferring and leaving the program. And you guys can go on YouTube and find it. His teammates at Arizona State were clowning him, saying he wasn't that good. Why is he leaving? He ain't all of that stuff. And now those guys that were at Arizona State, they were watching that game on Sunday, weren't they?
They sure were.
And now they can say, he used to be on our team, but don't let me find out who you were on the video that was dissing when he left. What y'all should have been saying was, hey, man, can you put in a good word for me when you make it to the pros?
And that's what they should have been doing.
He kept fighting. Went to LSU, did what he needed to do, made it up to number 2 in the draft, wins the Heisman, and now he is leading one of the hottest teams in the league that people think have a shot to make it to the Super Bowl this year. And it's not laughable. It's not laughable. It could happen.
Yeah, it's not because they got Detroit there, and we haven't seen them against Philly or Dallas.
Not yet.
So
We'll see it soon.
We haven't seen them against Philly and Dallas,
2
which
weeks.
are in the division.
Yeah.
So, the first game they played, the division game against the Giants, they struggle hard. If they play that way against Philly or Dallas, they won't beat them. Now, with saying that, yes, optimism. But your second half of the season, you got to play Philly twice, you got to play Dallas twice, and you got to play the Giants. That's 5 games. That 5 games make or break your season. Now, y'all go 4-1 in those 5 games. Now you're talking about some stuff. Now, it doesn't matter to me. In the NFC, nobody's beating Detroit. Even with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson, nobody's beating Detroit. Detroit has that team this year. They should have been in the Super Bowl last year. They're being this year. Nobody beating Restore the Roar.
Okay. All right. We can. Hey, Cody, can you clip that piece right there? I'm gonna hold you to that one, TK.
Yeah, nobody's beating Detroit. Y'all held me to it last year, and they would have been in there if the coach
Tony
wouldn't have messed up.
If it weren't for Dan Campbell maybe overstepping a little bit on a couple of calls, they should have been in the Super Bowl last year. And I felt cheated. I felt cheated when Detroit lost that game in the NFC Championship game. I seriously felt cheated. Kudos to San Francisco for taking the game. When you have a chance to take a game, right? What do they say about the NFL? More games in the NFL are lost than won. The game was sitting there in the balance, and Detroit didn't take it. San Francisco took it. So, hey, congratulations to them for making it to the Super Bowl again. But would you give Washington a shot? Would you give Washington a shot having to possibly go to Detroit in an NFC title game?
I would give them a shot because of Jayden Daniels, but they're back in, and and the way Detroit plays, that style is not good for Washington this year.
Mm-hmm.
Washington next year will be Detroit of 2 years ago. I think.
Dave, so, is World Series still in pregame? I'm just wondering. Sorry, guys. Got my stage
Yeah,
manager, Dave DeVal, over here. He's checking this World Series for me. So we're going to switch gears here on the TD Report. We're going to talk a little baseball because this World Series jumped up on us really fast. And the LA Dodgers look like they're trying to catch this plane back west with a World Series title under their arm tonight. They're up 3-0 in the World Series. The Yankees haven't shown up yet, but I'm going to tell you who did show up. Atlanta. Y'all left Freddie Freeman on the side of the road, left for dead. He ain't dead yet.
Hey, listen,
he ain't
dog.
dead yet. He's still hitting this baseball. What happened to the Yankees? What's going on?
Listen, Dave. So in 1988, when Kirk Gibson hit that famous walk-off home run
against Oakland,
against Oakland, that set the tone of the series. I thought the series was over right there. When you're supposed to win the game and you lose with a walk-off grand slam, man, that's deflating. That changes everything in the series.
Yeah, that was game one.
It seemed like they haven't recovered the last 2 games from that.
Okay.
Now, the Yankees' pride may make them win tonight. Their pride may make them win tomorrow night. But their pride is going to be left right there, LaGuardia. Because when they get to L.A., they are not beating those Dodgers. That Dodgers team is really, really good, man.
Got to shout out
really good team.
Freeman. Yeah, got to shout out Freddie Freeman. Walker Buehler pitched a gem, last night.
Freeman is killing it.
Yeah, the Yankees, the Yankees put up a couple of runs in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs to make it 4-2. But the Dodgers were in control. They go up 4-0. They scratch out 2 runs in the first inning. With the Freddie Freeman home run, he's got 5 straight World Series games with home runs. So that's dating back to the 2 that he had when he was with the Braves. Okay. So
wow.
Now he's back in the World Series and he's hit 3 in the first, hitting the first 3 games. If he hits a home run tonight, my friend Dave and I were talking. When the Dodgers win this World Series, Freddie Freeman's your MVP. 3 home runs in 3 straight games. That's some Mr. October stuff, right?
Yeah, who hit the grand slam?
Oh, Freddie Freeman.
Freeman hit the grand slam.
Oh yeah.
So he's MVP.
Freddie not playing with these dudes today.
He's MVP. He's the first person who's MVP after game 1. I mean, what we talking about here? I mean, look, man, MVP.
We've got to give the Dodgers pitching staff so far, 3 games in. We've got to give them a lot of credit. They've held Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto, and Judge. They've held them more than in check. They've made them irrelevant, in this series. Now, there's a chance that we could see the Yankee bats kind of, wake up a little bit. So here we are in the top of the first, 2 outs. We've got a 2-out double by the Dodgers with Mookie Betts. Mookie's on second base with 2 outs. We've also got some hockey going on too. We wanted to give a shout out. Your boy Alex Ovechkin is already on the board in the first period.
Man, they scored 3. It's 3-1 in the first already, man.
Ovi has 2 goals. Yeah,
Ovi got 2 goals, yeah. So the countdown is on.
There's already been a fight, and there's already been a fight. It's still in the first period. There's already been a fight. I love hockey. I mean, that's fantastic. But listen, we've got to see if the Dodgers can pull this out. But if they sweep tonight, that's it for baseball. And then we're going to be talking football and basketball the rest of the year, TK.
October is probably the best month because you got some good football because they towards the middle of the season.
College football.
You got the World Series, the NLCS. You got all the playoffs in baseball. You got college football starting to shape up into good teams. So you got all of that. I mean, like I told you last weekend, I'm going to look. There hasn't been a weekend as good as that in a long time, dude.
I've really enjoyed it. And I like the fact that you can turn the TV on and see NBA, you can see NHL, NCAA football, obviously pro football, and man, the last bit of baseball, the fall, this is the fall classic, and this is going to, okay, Dodgers are up 2-0. Is that Freddie Freeman again? Freddie Freeman did it again, Tony. That's
he hit another home run?
That's 4 straight, a 2-run homer. 4 straight games in the World Series with a home run. You know what? I don't care if they lose. I don't care if the Dodgers lose the series. Give him the MVP right to hell now. It just happened, Tony.
So let me put this in the term for you guys.
Oh my God.
He tied the World Series. He about to break it because Reggie Jackson did it in 3 straight hits at bat.
3 swings.
3 swings. This right here is probably as impressive as I told you. He was MVP after the first game. See, I'm on a delay, so let me see what he's pitching him. What he throw? Oh, he coming right inside.
Yeah, he tried to go inside. No, it went back out over the plate, Tony.
Let me see. I'm looking at the pitch. Fence. I'm looking at the pitch sequence and what he's trying to do. Looking at the catcher where he's leaning to.
That looked like a 7-iron. He crushed. Yeah, that went out in a hurry. That was a line drive, Tony.
Oh, Lord, he turned on that.
Yeah, he turned on it.
Oh yeah, dog.
Hey, listen,
that dude right
if you're watching, everybody likes to watch, baseball stuff and see how people hit and everything. Whatever he does, look at his videos and tell your kid to do that. I don't know what he does, whatever he does, because he said his father taught him how to play baseball. This is what we're watching tonight is just
history.
Is history, but it's a dismantling of the Yankees that you don't usually see. So listen, guys, I'm going to be getting ready to jump off in a second.
Yes, you did, man.
We need to talk about somebody in the DC area that has passed. Very important young man. Let's talk about Gerard Mustaf, late of DeMatha, late of the University of Maryland. May he rest in peace. My heart goes out to his family, all my friends at DeMatha. Gerard Mustaf, 6'10". Honestly, Tony's a bit ahead of his time, to be honest, because there wasn't anything that Gerard couldn't do on a basketball court. And he was doing that back in the late 80s, early 90s. 3-time parade All-American, okay? Averaged 17 points a game at the University of Maryland. He was the 17th overall pick in the NBA draft. For most people, that is a career, okay? Just getting to that point. But he meant so much more to the DC metro area. I was shocked to hear of his passing. You're from the county. I'm from DC. My high school, St. John's High School, used to play DeMatha all the time. You see Gerard Mustaf on the court. We didn't even make fun of that guy. We didn't even want to get him mad at us. We were respectful. You see what I'm saying? It was a different time. You didn't say anything negative because Gerard might go off and score 40. You didn't want to see that. An amazing, amazing player, and I just can't believe he's gone, Tony.
Yeah, Gerard, rest in peace. He was a really, really good friend. Gerard and I took ACE driving school. We took driver's ed.
You took driver's ed?
We took driver's ed together.
And we used to sit in the car, man.
We used to sit in there and talk about how we played against each other on the first AAU team. When AAU first really got started was our freshman year. Me and Gerard and I, same year. And I always tease Gerard because my friend Dirk Monroe, who went there with him, would always tease him because Gerard and them was beating us by, honest to God, guys, it was like 30 or 40 points. And I was so upset. He went to go throw a jump hook, and I threw his shot to John Thompson in the stands. But they were beating us so bad that everybody don't talk about. But Dirk, when is being at DeMatha with him, would always see him and say, "Man, my boy threw your stuff in the stand," and he was like, "We beat y'all by 40," which they did.
Yeah,
they were killing us. And until this day, man, Gerard, the last post he put out was on Thursday. I went to call him because it was a post of Keith Gatlin. So I was going to call him, talk about, because Gerard had been putting out all the legends. And the last post he put out was on Keith, who was Keith was one of my guys. He's been my guy. And Keith and I went to call him on Thursday, and he didn't answer. And usually when me and Gerard, we would talk once every 2 months, he would just call me back a day or two later. But, you know, the next day I was gone to Denver. And then when I come back yesterday and I got the thing from JB, I just thought it was, I didn't.
Yeah,
That's tough, man.
It's really tough. I mean, you know, we grew up in a time when you would read about things in the newspaper. So whether it was older guys
Yes,
at my
sir.
high school that talked about playing against DeMatha that night, or my father, you know, bringing home the newspaper and we would read about him, you know, it felt like I knew him, but he was just of the area, and just a really tough day to hear about him passing. Again, our condolences go out to his family. Hey, Cody, can we put up the picture of Joe Ruddy for me, please? As we finish out the show, on a personal note, I wanted to send out my condolences to the Ruddy family, all the Ruddys over there in Cheverly, where, you know, I raised my son for 15 years. Joe Ruddy ran the Cheverly Boys and Girls Club for 50 years, Tony. 50 years in youth sports. He went to GW. He got his law degree at Georgetown. He taught law at, get this, Tony, he taught law at Teachers College in DC, which is UDC.
Mm-hmm.
Joe was a beacon to youth sports. He wanted kids to just participate and play. He had 11 children, 10
you
survived.
saw Dave there.
Yeah. Had 11 children, 10 survived, and he has over 24 grandchildren. Few of them also played with my son on teams in Cheverly.
Woo!
He coached up until the time my son was 9 or 10 years old. He coached basketball right over there at the Cheverly gym where I used to live, right next door where the town hall is. And Joe was instrumental through his son-in-law, who was one of the teachers at the Heights School. He was instrumental in helping my son get a full scholarship to the Heights. If it weren't for old Joe going to the Heights and saying, hey, this kid in Cheverly has great grades, he has a great family, you're gonna love him. When Harrison got to the school there, he loved it, he fit right in. And, you know, I'm really thankful that I was able to meet Joe. There are people that you meet in your life that are like an angel. You know, they're put in your life for a reason. And I feel like when we moved to Cheverly, we were very fortunate enough to live right down the street from
sir.
Joe. So to Joe's family, shout out to Joe Ruddy, his son Joey, you know, Jacob, Emily, and Joey Ruddy. That's Joe Ruddy the fourth, by the way. This is a very big family. And also shout out to some of his nephews who played baseball with my son, J.A., who's at Notre Dame, and shout out to Sam Hatch. Hey, Cody, can we get the picture of Coach Joe up, you know, before we close out? Want to make sure you guys see him. Joe had gotten a little old, you know, a little rough on his health or whatever towards the end of his life, but he made sure to come out and see Harrison play for the Heights. Really appreciated that. I knew he was kind of sickly at the end, and it was a lot for him to be outdoors. But that's all we have for tonight. We are definitely sending our condolences again out to Gerard Mustaf and his family, and to old Joe Ruddy. You know, rest in peace. Oh, by the way, he was a St. John's guy. He went to SJC back in the day. So he was
a St. John's guy?
He was a St. John's guy. That's right. Yep.
Let me get Cody. Let's see if he...
It's all good. He put him up earlier. We can't get...
Yeah, I didn't know he was that long. So he was there when...
He was there. He was in Cheverly doing the Boys and Girls Club when Wayne Curry was a kid.
Wow.
Wayne Curry grew up in Cheverly. In fact, as the story goes, Wayne Curry's house, where he grew up in Cheverly, the Ku Klux Klan came into town and burned a cross in their yard. That's how long Joe lived in Cheverly. He lived in Cheverly at a time with the Boys and Girls Club when the county, Prince George's County at one point, did not allow Black children into Boys and Girls Clubs to play sports. So what Joe did, there was football. So what Joe did, he said, you know what? I'm going to go directly over to Boyd Park, which is just on the other side where the subway is. This, by the way, guys, this is before Cheverly Metro went in. There's a little piece of Cheverly that's over on the east side of Route 50. It's not where Cheverly is. It's over the bridge that crosses over 50. There's a little neighborhood over there called Boyd Park. That's technically Cheverly. That's where all the black people used to live, in Cheverly. You couldn't live where I lived on Forest Road. You couldn't live there if you were black. They wouldn't let you. So what Joe did, he went over there and found some football players and said, just put your jersey on and wear long sleeves and don't take your helmet off. Then they won county with black players, and the county tried to take the championship. And Joe said, he's a lawyer, there's nothing in the rules that says you can't have black children. So we're gonna keep that trophy. So you have to love, you literally have to love Joe Ruddy for that. He made county sports a possibility for lots of black and Latino children right here in Cheverly. So just believe that one person can make a difference, Tony. All right.
Yes, that's a legacy there, buddy.
Yep. Tony, we might have a problem over here in this Yankees game. There is a fan, a Dodger is trying to catch a ball up against the wall, and now the fans are grabbing his arm and reaching in his glove to take the ball out. Tony, what in the world? This is worse than Jeffrey Meyer, what he did to the Orioles. These people are crazy.
They're gonna throw that fan out.
They're gonna throw that fan out for sure. Tony, you have to throw that dude out, man. I'm sorry, y'all.
But they called him
crazy. Out. Somebody's got to clip that. We look. Today is Tuesday, right? We're gonna come back on Wednesday. We're gonna review that. That is absolute. I'm literally just watching it happen. Tony, did you see it?
Yeah,
Tony,
I'm looking at it.
Tony's on a delay. Look at this.
I'm looking at it. That fan. Now that is funny.
No, man. Get him up out of there. That's crazy. Hey, listen, anything can happen.
All right, bro.
Appreciate y'all, man. Great show, Tony.
Great show. See you guys, man.
Joe. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Gerard.
Rest in peace, Gerard. See you guys. See you on Halloween. See you.